Hi, my name is Amanda Clinton on This Perfect Day, where we're going to be talking about how to dream yourself into a new reality in terms of getting a goal that you set for yourself and how to kind of just get into that dream. And we're focusing on this today because, as we all know, our power as Africans is very much that, we all look so different, but in our hearts is the memory of, one of the oldest civilizations on earth. In our DNA, we have some of, the oldest blood in terms of the people who first roamed this earth came from Africa. And in our hope, there's nothing but an expected end of where we can go in life, so that puts us in a really good place. And I said all that because in This Perfect Day, we're essentially focusing on someone from Egypt over 2,000 years ago called Hermes Trismegistus, who applied 7 principles that literally just changed this world in terms of everybody came to study these principles. And as we know, Egypt grew to a certain extent because there was a lot going on with those people. And so if we all learn these 7 principles in different aspects of our lives for any dream that you set yourself, you will essentially get what you want in this world if you set a goal and a deadline to that. Now, these 7 principles, and this is Cyrus, by the way, these 7 principles are imagination, correspondence in terms of what's going on inside you goes on out in the world in terms of, that, and then vibration. You also vibrate to whatever's going on inside you. And so if you have correspondence of vibration and imagination, you're going to get 4 things in life. You're going to transmutate from one state to the other in terms of like not having money to having money. So that's like movement from one state to the other. You're also going to have more rhythm in your life, as well as impact in terms of, cause and effect, and the duality of it all in terms of life. So if you study those 7 principles for anything you want, you can get what you want if you set a goal and a time. And that's why Egypt, there was no limit to what they achieved, and we as Africans need to use this knowledge. I'm bringing Cyrus on the show today because once we met and we were at Kokobite, and Cyrus was wearing this exact same shirt, if you guys can see it. It says Miami on it. And so I was like, oh, so you've been to Miami? And what did you tell me?
Never. I'm in Miami there, but me dream. I did not buy many, so me dream sell me on Miami. So I just imagine it. To me dream, all of a sudden, me call Miami. So me could be Gianni, Nkola, Mudia Grow, beach money a day, into I need a suit, Huna, a da winnis or no, and my dream call Miami. And I'm temporary, so no, me call Miami.
So, yeah. And then I asked you, I was like, yeah, but how are you going to get to Miami then?
There's always a way out. I can't be our home with me, a dear Drew baby. Just was out to me set it, baby, a 2 and so say, and then a year, that's a year. A da 1 year later or 7 years then, yeah, you just have to set a goal.
And this is a special day for you, but for an unfortunate reason, because it's the 1 year anniversary, unfortunately, of your mother passing. And so perhaps if, for instance, you said this time next year, because it's a very memorable date, I'm going to be in Miami, part of using these principles is you have to set a goal that's so big that if you achieved it, it will blow your mind. And then you have to set a time limit for when you're going to achieve it. Like 1 year from today is very memorable for you. And then basically the dream will build out because step by step, you'll be getting closer to that dream. Now, as I was mentioning earlier on in the show, the second step for achieving anything you want in life is correspondence. What's going on inside has to vibrate, in essence, to such an extent that it just bursts out of you and attracts to you what you want. Would you say that you are vibrating to the level of Miami today?
Yes, I am.
Then why are you not in Miami?
As you said, you just have to set a goal. So, definitely setting a goal at least 1 year later.
And we're speaking in tree for our tree listeners.
Okay, then I'm medical kind, vibration never bad, but when I say, oh, we yet into 2 years. A quite over fast, then let me meet this vibration, the vibration, and they say into 2 years over year, and they meet it. So,
Because it literally is like almost like what the Bible says, as in heaven, so on earth, in terms of as above, so below, as within, so without. And you don't need to have money to have an imagination. You don't need to have money to feel yourself in such a state that eventually your dream will happen and your vibration will happen. And yes, it does take a lot of sort of planning. But the point is, if you vibrate to a certain level and if you correspond to exactly what you want, and if you have the exact imagination of what you want and you are crystal clear, you've set the goal and you have a deadline to it, we've got a very powerful programming in our mind, the subconscious mind, where you can reprogram your mind to accept a new reality. And so if that reality is first accepted in your subconscious mind, as you wake up each day and new opportunities and you read different things like in the newspaper, you could read a newspaper today and to 1 million people, they wouldn't see that advert. But because you've been dreaming about Miami the whole time, and it says in the advert, we need people of a certain skill set, which you have, and then you'll go to Miami if you fulfill the criteria, that advert will jump out at you. So this is what it's called building out the dream. If you have a specific goal with a specific deadline, and every day you habitually vibrate to that level, you're thinking about it, you're imagining it, you're corresponding with it. It's not like magic where, the money just falls in your lap, etc. But based on your need and another person's need, and that, corresponding and vibrating in terms of being matched, and then you see the adverts, you begin to take the steps you need to take in order to sort of impact and to get to where you're supposed to be. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, it's possible. And correct through the court. Adibia all these see when you so pass away biano. Okwada, now sorry, now Jim say, saying I'm person me, saying I'm person my brabo, eh? Bibi or person ye bia, or they're going home. Manin addition, who know we need to say, saying I'm person me, na yamen so better in the any monyam actual. Bibi or person ye bia, or dear. Koswa na eden na ye momodia na ese obeye bibia be okay.
And who is anybody to tell you that you can't achieve a goal? That's the wonderful thing about imagination and about setting a goal for yourself. I mean, some of the poorest people who've ever walked this planet have become some of the richest people that have ever walked this planet because they decided to be. So there is a lot of power of that within. So in Africa, we don't really see there's lots of wealth in terms of like resources. Even our environment is beautiful. There's wealth everywhere. But it doesn't translate as much sometimes to wealth in as many people's pockets as we would prefer. Do you think it's possible for anybody from any walk of life in Africa to achieve anything based on the 7 principles I just mentioned?
Yeah, Bia bet me, the Bia bet me they seen in Subia, a baby, and found that Oscar, so Niska. But what the BBC when you say I'm person here, or general home. Now, Oshamre said, Pepe, saying I'm a good draw. You get it, said Bia be. Yeah.
And, and sometimes just don't think, oh, if I become a politician, then I will become wealthy. Because, sometimes, as we know, becoming a politician means that, you're taking it from somewhere else. But let's not get into that. Have a very specific dream because, that is unique to you. For instance, I'm a lawyer and I, have quite a few international clients because my vision as a lawyer is that if you're an international client anywhere in the world or in Ghana, you will find me. So that's what I'm vibrating to. I'm vibrating to attracting a certain type of client. And I'm corresponding with that because it's all about what I see my identity as, picking up my phone, and it doesn't shock me when somebody from somewhere in the world calls me for my service, because that's what I imagined. Do you see what I mean? So you can sort of roll out a product, a service, or a platform that uses those principles of imagination, correspondence, vibration, and with that, you will impact in terms of, cause and effect. You'll have a certain rhythm, and then there's a duality of all that. So now you've set a goal for Miami. Do you know how it's going to come about? And, for this 1 year deadline, as we speak right now, do you know how you're going to essentially get to Miami? And you can be very honest about this, because a lot of people, watching this are in the same position as you. But do you know how you're going to get there?
Yeah, with a 7 principle, I'm sure, I believe, I'm going to get there.
But do you have an opportunity? For instance, do you have a particular skill that only you can provide, or do you think opportunity will come in? Do you think opportunity will come for you to, or do you have to go and look for that opportunity? Because that's another thing about dreaming yourself to a new state. Some people always think like, okay, if I pray, that's it. It's not about that. So it's not about just imagining and praying. Sometimes you have to be so alert that you're a magnet for opportunity coming into your life, essentially. And, I'm going to predict something. What's today's date?
22nd.
The 22nd of August, 2021. And I'm going to say that this time next year, you and I will have a Zoom call or a Skype call, and you'll be in Miami, and you'll get there all by yourself.
Yeah.
Do you receive that?
Yeah, I receive it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not like just I say and then I receive, etc., etc.
Exactly.
I have seen these principles work in my life in terms of being a magnet for the things that I want. And it hasn't necessarily always been easy, because you can say, I offer a particular service, but your phone is ringing at 2 a.m. because someone from halfway across the world is, on a different time zone. And I'm one of the few people that would pick up, because, the calls go directly to me, But the point is, if you make yourself available and you put the platform there, you can receive. But it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of specialization. Because another thing about getting your dream is highly specialized people tend to get more work than anybody else. Do you see what I mean? So sometimes you also have to work with the talents you have, the talents you are willing to harness out of you. But if you specialize in anything in this planet, you are going to get more in terms of money than the average person within your industry who doesn't specialize. So now that we've set a deadline about dreaming yourself to a new state, I just want to recap on what we said. That, in seeing Cyrus's shirt, he was actually emanating Miami. I was like, oh, so you've been to Miami? And, that's how the conversation started. And he really told me everything about how Miami looked, because he'd obviously seen it in YouTube videos, etc. But he was like really seeing it. But that's just seeing, that's just the vision. You have to correspond, like your thoughts, your feeling, your dwelling place, your state inside you has got to run on an auto program, because even whilst you're working, the auto program running in your head is in a state of, oh, I'm going to be going to Miami at a certain deadline. I don't know how it's going to come about yet, but opportunity and different things will come to me like a magnet, or I will go out and look for it, or I'll open the newspaper and see an opportunity that I can apply for, or something that will be so unique to me that 1 million people will see that advert and ignore it. So imagination, correspondence, vibration. Because if you're all about that thing in terms of what you want, and you are vibrating to that thing and it matches, guess what happens? It bursts into reality. in terms of impact. If you're on a different vibration, that's why we tend to miss opportunities, because we're inside us, we're not really vibrating to where we're supposed to be, in terms of we're not matching that desire. And so with those three things, you can impact, you can have rhythm in what you enjoy doing, as well as, you know, change from one state in terms of being in Ghana to being abroad, as well as having a sense of duality. So what we're going to ask you to do is to just leave a comment or a message about what the date is today in terms of when you view this video, what your goal is, as well as what deadline you have, and then come back to that in that exact deadline when you've applied those 7 principles, and we'll see them apply for you. And we'll also, you know, be checking in with Cyrus exactly this day in 1 year's time. And we're going to be on an international call or conference call, because Cyrus is obviously going to be in Miami, because if you feel it, you have it, you want it, and everything about you is that people with less have achieved more than that. So it must mean that they're following a system. And we're saying that if you follow this system, for anything you want in this life, you'll get it. And also do, as I said, leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. But dreaming yourself to a new state will literally change your life in terms of goal setting, having a deadline, working towards that goal, and just really everything about you being about that. Because as within, so without, in terms of it will burst out of you, and as above, so below. So as it is in heaven, so it is on earth. And, you know, Egyptians achieved like this amazing heights. It was unlimited in terms of the power, the rollout, the pyramids and everything else. And we are in Africa, you know, and you can vibrate to that level and ensure that you change your state in order to get your dreams. I hope you've enjoyed that. Do subscribe.